There is no right way to do drag. Like, you can do drag however you want. Anybody who is telling you how to do drag, do not listen to them. Sorry. I think drag in itself is protest. Because, like, again, you're fighting what are gender norms by putting on the heels and the dress and the hair. And, like, that's just a protest in itself. It's 2023. Why do we still have gender norms? Who needs them? They're boring. And it's been evident since I was a kid. Like, again, my parents were not surprised that I found and enjoyed drag because I was that kid in kindergarten putting on the skirt from the dress-up box and having the teacher yell at me because I put on the skirt from the dress-up box.
Really?
Yeah. Kids can be mean. And you just kind of have to have a thick skin because, like, it's mission. Like, people are going to have your opinions of you. Do I care? No. I'm sorry that I am more exciting than you are.
Welcome back to the Let Me Be Perfectly Queer podcast. I'm your host, Beth, and this podcast is brought to you by the UFV Pride Collective. We are filming here at Civil Radio, CIVL 101.7, also CIVL.ca, and we are recording on Stalo territory. In this episode, I interviewed the legend, the icon, the star, Colin. He is a local drag artist that I met when he performed for the UFV Pride Collective's Queer Prom event. We discussed drag and all of the work that goes into being a performer. Colin also shared some of his experience growing up in Mission and his dreams of becoming a TV star. I hope you enjoy. All right. Welcome, Colin, to the podcast.
God, so excited to be here.
So excited to have you. Okay, so we don't really know each other that well.
No.
We've hung out a couple times. But
it's mostly in like meeting settings.
Yeah, it was mostly meetings for Queer Prom. Yeah. And I just want to say your performance at the prom for context, the Pride Collective organized this Queer Prom event and we wanted to bring in some local drag performers, and one of our executive members, Ray.
Shout out to Ray.
Shout out. Love you.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you.
And so you were one of our performers and you tore up that dance floor. Like, oh my God.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
It was a little stressful because I really only had a week to kind of prepare those numbers, and I like to take like a month. Like I'm a pre-planner, like I'm very particular about how I want my numbers to turn out. And like being only given a week was a little bit of a struggle, especially since we had to like last minute cut one of my numbers. So, but it turned out well. I did fall on my ass a little bit.
That wasn't on purpose?
Well, okay, that trick was supposed to go a little differently than it was supposed to. And I did that move, and that's a move that originated from like the ballroom scene. And I was thinking in my head as I did it, I went, oh God, my friend in the ballroom scene is going to kill me for that move. And I sent it to him later, and he's like, yeah, don't do that again. I was like, great.
Well, it was amazing to me, and like those heels, how high were those heels?
I don't even really know. I think they're like 4 or 5 inches. Those are the first time I'd actually had like worn them to perform.
Really?
I got them at Christmas. They were actually my aunt's old shoes, and she gave them to me at Christmas. She was like, here, a blessing. And I was like, oh, thank you. That's why she had like brought them down specifically to give them to me. So I was like, oh, thank you. And I performed in them, but they hurt. Like wearing because they're women's shoes, so they're designed for women's feet, and the toe box is a little smaller. So literally, I walked off stage, and I took them off immediately. I was like, my feet are killing me.
Oh, I'm sure. I cannot even I could not even try. Like my ankles would break instantly if I tried to even just walk in those heels.
Well, it's like Jester was doing there was another drag artist there named Jester. If you weren't there, should have. Jester was doing like a whole bunch of tricks, and I'm like, how are you not breaking your ankles? Because they were wearing heels higher than mine. And I'm like, how are you not breaking your ankle trying to do a cartwheel in like 6-inch heels?
Yeah, that's true. They did do the cartwheels.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I am terrified.
Back to the drag. You did an amazing performance. What was the two songs that you...
When You're Good to Mama from Chicago, which I've been obsessed with recently. I've never actually seen it before like 3 months ago. So I finally watched it. I was like, wow, I get why people are obsessed with this movie because it's everything. So I did When You're Good to Mama, which is Queen Latifah's song. And then I did Mother by Meghan Trainor. And that one was a fun one because I had that little intro that was like, I wrote the song for Calling All the Monsters because she's Mother. That was camp. Like, you just have to have a little bit of camp.
It was. I loved it. Like,
Yeah.
I was losing my mind, honestly. I was like, this is so good. So, how did you get into drag in the first place? How
Well,
many years have you been doing it?
Officially, it'll be, I think, 2 years in November. Because my first time in drag was for Tucked and Loaded, which is a local show here in Abbotsford hosted by the legend Anita Tighthole.
That was your first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had done like talent shows with like drag-esque performances, but I've never like done the entire makeup and everything. So that was like my first time. And that was like 2 years because it was like 2 years in the making because we were originally supposed to do it like March of 2020 back when the stage in Mission was open. But that unfortunately closed down like February 2020 and then COVID happened. So yeah, it was a long time in the making to finally make that performance happen.
And that was in 2020?
November 2021, I believe.
Oh, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been like professionally doing drag for only about 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So what actually like got you interested in it in the first place?
Well, I think I first knew of drag like back when I was in middle school on Tumblr. I found GIFs of Violet Chachki in her season 7 episode 1 reveal look, and I googled what this was, and I just kind of fell down the rabbit hole. And then it was actually Anita back in, I want to say 2018. She was doing a youth dance that I had attended, and they did like a lip sync battle, and I was doing Toxic by Britney Spears because of course I literally chose it because the first line is baby can't you see I'm Colin. That was literally the only reason why I chose that number.
So I was
like,
brilliant.
we're gonna do that, and then Anita found me. It's like, when you're legal, we're gonna put you in drag. And then 2 years later, oh no, that would have been 4 years later. It actually finally happened, and then I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. So this youth dance, can you give some context to like the youth dance and your friend Anita?
So the youth dance, it's hosted by the Fraser Valley Youth Society, and they do it usually once or twice a year. And basically, it's kind of like a kid-friendly drag show, and they do like toned-down numbers, and it's just like a good time for all the kids of any identity to come out, enjoy some drag, enjoy people who are like them. And usually it's done by Anita and the Fraser Valley Youth Society. And usually she has like her group of friends, so like her, Joe King and Justice Du Jour, while Justice was still living out here. She still comes back every so often to do Anita shows, but she's now in Alberta performing. So shout out to her, shout out to Justice. But yeah, they've done it, I think, 5 or 6 years in a row now.
The youth dance. Yeah. That's really cool that it has, like, it's kind of providing that opportunity for kids. And I know there's a lot of conversation right now around drag and kids being involved in drag.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on the right are very up in arms about it. Why do you think there's such a misconception about what drag is?
Well, I think the idea of drag is controversial in general, because usually you have people dressing up in very effeminate costumes. Typically they're males, but they're not always male identifying. But typically you have people in effeminate costumes and wigs dancing around to like Slut Pop by King Petras. Like, it's drag is controversial in and of itself, and that's what it's supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be controversial. Like, you're a person in feathers and sequins doing the splits to King Petras. Obviously people are going to be mad. I just think people are boring. That's why, like, people are just boring. Like, wouldn't you want to go see someone in feathers? Like, it's like a Las Vegas showgirl. Like, what's the difference between a drag queen and a Las Vegas showgirl? And they're like, oh, they're stripping in front of the kids. I have never seen a drag queen strip in front of a kid. Like, I've never seen it happen. Like, I don't know what drag shows you're going to with your kids, but like I've never been to a show where someone's stripping in front of a child.
Yeah, no, that's
And
just...
again, Las Vegas showgirls are literally in bras that look like they're supposed to be topless.
Yeah, there's definitely a double standard there.
Yeah.
I went to my first, I mean, I guess if you count the prom as a drag show, that was my first drag show, but I went to Tucked and Loaded, the last one that happened, and I actually saw you there. And that's when I asked him to come on this podcast, so.
Marketing.
But yeah, that was really cool. And seeing the level of effort and time and money that these performers put into their like outfits and just like their performance ability, it's truly an art form. Yeah.
Drag is expensive. Like if you account everything, like since I'm more of a beginner, I still kind of buy my clothes. I get like hand-me-downs and I just kind of make it work where I need to. But like Anita, for example, some of those costumes are like hundreds of dollars. Some of those wigs are thousands of dollars. Like drag is expensive and there's a lot of time from a whole bunch of people. Like drag is not just the person in the wig doing it. It's also like the costume designers, the wig designers, the people like putting the mixes together. Like there's so much that goes into it that I feel like people don't really see. They see like the person in the wig and they're mad at them, but there's so much more that you also need to take into account. Like there are countless of jobs that are created because a drag queen needs a hair, needs a costume, needs a mix. There's a lot to go into it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no lack of skill needed for like the kind of dance moves that you do. And in those heels, not like, never mind. It's amazing. And I'm glad that I've, gotten to experience that. And I wish that more people had an open mind to it.
Yeah. Especially like Tucked and Loaded. I think Tucked and Loaded is like a perfect drag show because like Anita puts a lot of time into it. And she's very dedicated about making that show as good as it can be, especially since she's in the Fraser Valley, very conservative. Lots of people give her flack for it, but she constantly brings out these Vancouver people. The Vancouver girls go back to Vancouver and like talk about the show and how good it is and how like great it tips and how great the energy is. And I think that's really what's needed in Atmosphere because I feel like everything in Atmosphere is just so boring.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That is a good way to put it. So, do you see yourself doing drag more professionally, like long term?
I think so, yes. I think right now we're kind of in the beginner. I'm still like a beginner, still trying to build an Instagram following. But like if I was in closer proximity to like a bigger city like Vancouver, I would love to perform more. Like, I don't know. I think I like where I'm at right now, but I wish for further in the future.
Okay, let's talk the technical side a little bit because I know you were interested in sharing that, and I know we like briefly touched on it already with the Meghan Trainor clip. But tell me more about your process of like how do you choose your costume and like how do you come up with the choreography and how do you know what song you want to do and all that.
For example, like if I'm doing a Tucked and Loaded, I usually like to choose something very energetic that'll get the crowd going because usually I tend to go, in my couple of experiences, I tend to go usually towards the beginning and that's when you really have to have like the audience start to get like pumped up so they can last the entire show. So usually I try to choose like upbeat pop, something that the audience will know. Like for example, I did the youth dance last year actually, and I did a mix of Mariah Carey emotions and not a single child it was probably like teenagers. Not a single kid knew Mariah Carey emotions.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, no one's singing along. I'm like, do y'all kids not know Mariah Carey's emotions?
What is wrong with this generation?
You got to make sure you choose like the right song for the event.
Yeah, you got to know your audience.
Yeah. That's why I usually like pop songs. Like I've done, my first mix was a ABBA, Lady Gaga mix. That one was really fun. That one was really good. My second one, what was my second one? Oh, it was like a Drag Race inspired talent show mix with Sugar Mata's audition from Glee. I don't know if you've ever watched Glee.
I have watched Glee.
She does Hey Big Spender and she sings it awfully. And it's so funny. So I incorporated that into like a talent show mix, and I ended up landing in the bottom, and my lip sync song was California Girls. And during that number, I did a high kick, and my shoe flew off on tape and hit me in the face. And I was like, oh no. So I was like, we're going to kick off the other shoe, and we're going to do a split. Because, like, if your shoes fall off, you got to make something work.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's kind of...
The show must go on.
Yeah. And, like, again, I'm very technical with how I choreograph everything. So if something goes awry, I am in my brain like, oh no. Figure something out. Luckily, the end of the number worked out. I found my other shoe that flew off into the audience somewhere. And it went really well. But, yeah. We're going to make sure this year, if I do any performances, I'm going to make sure I have shoes with ankle support so my shoe doesn't fly off. Because I love a good high kick.
Oh, yeah. You got to get the high kicks in there.
But, like, with choreographing, usually it's just kind of me in my basement. I usually film myself so I can watch it back and figure everything out. But, like, it's usually me in my basement with music playing on my computer trying to figure out what would work. And it's, like, usually takes me about 2-3 weeks. And luckily with the recording, I can watch it back and see which parts work, which parts don't work. And we figure it out from there. And then with the audio, usually it's just kind of whatever fucked up amalgamation I can come up with in my head. Like, who's going to think about doing an album mix where halfway through you pass out and you end up doing Replay by Lady Gaga? Like, that's just fun.
Is that like your drag style? Just as chaotic as possible?
Oh, yeah. I like to do mixes because I feel like mixes are very kind of classic drag, and I like to bring that a little bit forward because I feel like a lot of younger drag artists just kind of do a song, and I just think that's boring.
Yeah, no, I really like that, like really making the songs your own. Yeah. That's what I loved about at the last Tucked In Loaded, Toddy.
Oh my god, I love Toddy.
their remix of, what was the song? The Dua Lipa song?
Oh, it was Levitating.
Levitating.
I got cheese. I was in the audience literally dying.
I was
They're
on
throwing
the floor.
cheese strings everywhere. I was like, I want a cheese string.
Oh my god.
Or Slade LeMay at that same show also like ate a potato on stage.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, how are you eating a potato on stage and not choking to death? Like, I would choke to death.
Yeah. It's just, drag is just everything. It's dance, it's performance, it's comedy, it's beauty. Like, what's not to love? What's not to love?
Well, when you're boring, people only like boring things.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't like the feathers and the sequins and the rhinestones.
Yeah. You mentioned you do theater.
Yeah.
How did your theater experience kind of influence your passion for drag, I guess?
Well, I think I have a diploma in stagecraft and event technologies, and I learned a little bit of audio mixing as part of my diploma. So that actually comes really in handy when you have to make audio mixes. So you already know like how Audacity works.
I don't. Colin had to help me.
You know what? Audacity's hard. Like, it took me a while to figure out how to use Audacity, and I'm still not even really perfect at it. Like, there's always something you need to work on. But like that filmography, like photography, prop making, like that's kind of where I get my experience from. So like, if you want me to make you a subtly weird looking cardboard top hat, I am your girl.
That's awesome. What advice do you have for kids or, even adults who are interested in drag and want to maybe start trying it out? Like, how would you start?
I just say do it. Like, there's no right way to do drag. Like, as I don't wear a wig. That's like the big thing with me. I don't wear a wig. I have the natural hair, so I just kind of use that. It saves me quite a lot of money. But there is no right way to do drag. Like, you can do drag however you want. If you don't want to wear eyebrows, you don't have to wear eyebrows. If you don't want to wear eyeshadow, you don't have to wear eyeshadow. Anybody who is telling you how to do drag, do not listen to them. Once you find your niche, stick to that niche. It'll make you way more unique, and it'll make you stand out in a sea of bodysuit dancing queens.
Yeah. Another unique thing I've noticed about your style of drag, and it just, because you just mentioned that you don't wear wigs, you also use your own name instead of having like a stage name. I mean, you do have a stage name, but it includes your real name. So how come you decided to make that choice and kind of and have your natural hair?
Well, I thought, because Colin, it's like the perfect kind of pun name. So like my drag name has gone through a plethora of different evolutions. There was one era where it was onion powder, freight train, and then it was, for the longest time, it was, before I actually had started, it was Colin complaining. And then someone on Reddit actually gave me Colin All the Monsters after the China Anne McClain song, and I literally thought it was perfect. I was like, I love that song. That song's iconic. That name's iconic. Let's go with it. I'm iconic. It works.
It works. It works. Yeah, that's really cool.
But like usually, in my experience, lots of people, there's been a couple Drag Race girls who have used their natural name. Like there's Derek Barry, Chad Michaels. Usually, if they're like in like celebrity impersonators, they tend to use their real names. But I think it's fun. Like it's like it's part of me. Like the drag artist is me just with more makeup on. So like it's fun that I can have that sense of myself in my name.
Yeah.
Plus, this is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So you've only been doing drag for 2 years, but before that, you've always been a performer. Yeah. What was your first experience performing, and how did you know that that was like your thing?
Well, I did most of my like acting experience comes from like theater classes and camps and all that kind of stuff. So I started that. I think I was like 12. I want to say doing my first one. And I like being on the stage, and I think like the acting's fun. But I do also like the technical side, and like drag, it's kind of both. Like you have to make like costumes, wigs, mixes, and then also you get to be on the stage. So I think it's kind of a best of both worlds, Hannah Montana situation with both of them.
When you were in theater, when you were younger, did you do more of the backstage technical stuff?
I did. When I was in high school, I was mostly backstage. I did do 1 year of music. I played the trombone, everyone's favorite instrument, because it is a sex joke in itself. But yeah, I did. Mostly it was like crew hands, props, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I was actually also a stage manager for, well, technically 2 years. But the second year was during COVID, so I didn't really do anything.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the first year it was really, I mean, I had been in like the elementary school plays as like a really small role, because I was a pretty shy actor. I didn't really I liked being on stage, but I didn't have the confidence to really project myself. But then being the stage manager, I got to be super involved with like, you know, just everything. And then get super close with the actors, like get to see how the show really came together and also help. And it was really cool. Like I kind of miss doing that.
Yeah, I think stage managers in theater in itself, I feel like are super underrated, because they literally keep the show from falling apart. And shout out to any stage managers out there. But they literally keep the show together. Like they're the glue that holds like the directive and all of the actors together. So it's really fun. It's like, I get that vibe that you were a stage manager. I definitely get that vibe.
What about me gives you that vibe?
I just think your general aesthetic is kind of stage manager. Well, it's like
is it the lanyard?
Like... I think so, yeah. We love a good lanyard, though.
We do. I've been trying to wear this one more often, because like...
It's fun. Like, it's colorful. It's the rainbow. Got all your pins on there.
Got all my pins on it.
The pronoun pins. I'm glad that pronoun pins have kind of come to the limelight a little bit, because sometimes it can be really hard to like make sure you get somebody's pronouns.
Yeah. And
like there's somebody, like you have your pronoun pin. I have my lovely water bottle.
Oh yeah, shout out where you got that sticker from.
Shadow Art Designs in Mission. She does all these stickers. Love her.
Support small
local businesses.
Local queer businesses. Yeah. So Colin, I would like to hear more about your experience growing up as who you are. Like, you're very open about who you are, and I assume you were always
flamboyant. Flamboyant's the good word to put it.
Flamboyant.
Well, it's like as a kid running around the parking lot screaming that I'm Princess Peach. The fact that I am now a drag artist, I think, is really fitting. Especially since I always wanted to be like the pretty pink princess. But, like, growing up from Mission, kids can be mean. And you just kind of have to have a thick skin because, like, it's Mission. Like, there's a lot of conservative. It's right next to Abbotsford, which is, like, what I consider, like, the Bible Belt of the Fraser Valley. You just kind of got to get used to it. Like, people are going to have your opinions of you. Do I care? No. I'm sorry that I am more exciting than you are.
Was your family supportive of you? Or was there conflict there as well?
Not really. Like, family's pretty supportive of, like, the whole drag thing. My poor parents have had to drive me home from the gigs, you know. When you have an artist that's a drag artist, you just kind of get used to having glitter and rhinestones everywhere. Kind of just have to be accepting of it. Because you see it literally everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's good that they're supportive. Do you have a moment where you kind of noticed, like, oh, this is how boys are, like how most boys are, but I'm not like that?
I think I've just kind of always known I've been super kind of flamboyant. And it's been evident since I was a kid. Like, again, my parents were not surprised that I found and enjoyed drag because I was that kid in kindergarten putting on the skirt from the dress-up box and having the teacher yell at me because I put on the skirt from the dress-up box.
Really?
Yeah. Mission.
Is Mission worse than Abbotsford, or would you say they're on the same level?
Well, I feel like I see more protesters in Abbotsford. Like, I was at Mary Brown's last week, and there was, like, a whole bunch of protesters protesting something about gender inclusivity in schools, and there was this one girl, she was probably about 16, holding a Jesus Loves Gay sign. And I was like, you go, girl. And literally everybody in the restaurant was watching this girl, like, scream at another protester, just watching her fight for what she wanted. And I was like, you go.
It's great that there are people that are brave enough to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not a protest person at all. Like, I think this is my form of protest by, like, giving your voice a platform and like other queer voices. Sorry.
I think drag in itself is protest because, like, again, you're fighting what are gender norms by putting on the heels and the dress and the hair, and, like, that's just a protest in itself. Like, drag, you may see it as just, oh, these people are dancing in dresses, but, like, doing it itself is a protest just to gender norms in general, which it's 2023. Why do we still have gender norms?
That's a good question.
Like, who needs them? They're boring.
Yes, I love how you just call everything boring because it's so true.
It's like,
it's boring, it's old, it's traditional, and it's a form of oppression. Like, gender roles are a power structure.
Well, I feel like gender roles also disproportionately affect women more than they do men. Like, I feel like men have, like, their strict gender roles, but I feel like the ones for women are just oppressing. Like, they're just kind of sad just to see, like, I don't know. Like, the concept of gender roles to me is just it's so stupid. Like, why can't we just let people be who they are? Like, if you want to wear a dress, wear the dress. If you want to wear pants, wear the pants. If you want to be a house husband and stay at home with the kids while your wife goes out and works, like, I don't see a problem with that. Why people would see a problem with that, I do not understand.
Yeah, like, you're not hurting anyone.
No.
You're living your life.
I just want to be uncomfortable in heels.
Just let him be uncomfortable in heels.
Yeah, let me be uncomfortable in heels in peace. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, just live your life how you want. How do you want to live your life? What is your vision for your own life?
Well, you're asking the tough hitting questions today.
Yeah.
You're in your podcasting
We're digging
era.
real deep. Yeah.
Well, I think specifically with my drag, I want to be on TV. Like, I think every drag artist, even if they don't admit it, I think everyone kind of wants to be on Drag Race. Or, like, I don't necessarily want to do just Drag Race. I think, like, Big Brother, I've auditioned for Big Brother before. I've had friends audition for Drag Race. Like, I just think bringing drag to a bigger platform would be the end goal. Because, like, I would love to be the first, like, Big Brother Canadian drag queen on Big Brother. I think that would be so fun. And to have that, because it's on global, it's like, that is like a Canada-wide, like, states, that's like a wide platform to showcase something that people in Texas don't tend to like for some odd reason.
So you don't want to stay in the Fraser Valley long term? Is the goal definitely to like move out and get closer to the city?
I think I would like to still be doing drag in the Fraser Valley because I feel like it's what's needed. Like, I feel like the people out here don't get to experience. Like, in Vancouver, you can go to a show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But in the Fraser Valley, you really only have, like, the shows hosted by Anita. There's some in Langley. There's one in Maple Ridge. There's some in Chilliwack. But, like, those only run every so often. Like, it's not like that in the Fraser Valley. And I would like to bring drag to the Fraser Valley more. Like, I think what Anita has started with Technoloaded, I think that could be expanded, and you could really have drag be a big impact in the Fraser Valley.
How do you see drag expanding in the Fraser Valley? Like, more shows, or how do people experience drag, I guess?
I think because Anita has her Technoloaded, she's also started Drag Bingo. I know it's mostly drag shows in the Valley. I think Bingo is easily accessible to everybody because everybody loves bingo, and like you win prizes. So I think more bingo actually could probably bring more people to a drag show. And I think karaoke, someone does like drag karaoke. There's trivia night, like drag trivia nights. I know who does them. I think Hubco last year did one for Pride. Did like trivia with drag. And I think that was really fun. I just like that kind of stuff. Like bring shows, but obviously like have bingo, have karaoke, like have something for everybody. For people who don't want to sit and watch drunk people get really drunk and watch and scream at the drag artists. Because that's what kind of delves into a little bit. It's just everybody screaming.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to be in that environment. So I think with like bingo and like the youth events, like it's bringing drag to not necessarily like a sober space, but a more sobering, and especially like for youth events, like a sober space.
Yeah, and I think having more drag events at UFV is something that we're hoping to do, and definitely like continue having it at Queer Prom if we do that again next year. So
well, I think Queer Prom turned out really well. Like it was very put together, very everything. I think it worked out really well.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was definitely hard to plan.
Yeah.
And there was a lot, like, as you know, being a performer and kind of getting a taste of everything that went on behind the scenes. There was a lot of things that were up in the air sometimes. Yeah. And a lot of things changed last minute, but we still managed to make it work. Yeah. And it was really fun. Yeah, and I think planning a drag show in general is just kind of chaotic, especially when you're dealing with people who are very personality based. Like, if you're not necessarily used to that, it can be kind of a culture shock just to see, oh, it's this person who's screaming at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Let's talk about you again. I was really intrigued by how you mentioned your Tumblr era, and there was a lot of micro-labeling, and that's why you choose not to label yourself as anything anymore. Tell me about that era of your life.
Well, the Tumblr era, I was a Steven Universe Tumblr kid, and like those kids, I don't know, you seem to be nodding in agreement, like you know what I mean. The Steven Universe Tumblr kids are wild. Like, that's an era I do not want to go back to. Just the Steven Universe Tumblr 2014.
Yeah, no, I was on Tumblr in 2014, 2015, 2016 as well. Not for Steven Universe, but I did watch Steven Universe at the time. So I know, I understand.
Yeah, Tumblr, I feel like Tumblr should be like scientifically studied, because Tumblr was I think it was a pivotal point in a lot of queer people's upbringings, because that was like their one space to be like truly authentically themselves. And because of that, I think you get a lot of unique experiences. Like, I've met a lot of unique people on Tumblr.
Unique is the nice word.
Yeah, unique is the nice word. It's the family-friendly word. This is a family-friendly podcast, I think.
So is that what it was for you? Like that one space where you felt you could be...
I could talk about gay space rocks and peace. Can't talk about that on Facebook. People on Facebook are like, what the hell are you talking about? Talking about gay space rocks. Who's Garnet? Garnet's a rock. I was also on Sims Tumblr, which was a lot calmer than Steven Universe Tumblr, but still kind of wild. But like Tumblr should be studied in like Harvard.
I agree. I think it's just one big social experiment,
Oh
honestly.
yeah. People think Big Brother is a social experiment. No, it was 2012 to 2016 Tumblr, and then everybody left as soon as they banned like adult content. They were like, we're leaving. Goodbye. Everyone went to Twitter.
Yeah, and now Twitter is just as bad.
Oh my God, Twitter's scary. I refuse to use Twitter.
So your main platform is just Instagram?
Yeah. It's where I follow most of my drag artists, kind of interact with people. Well, Instagram's kind of dying. I feel like Twitter's kind of taking over a little bit, but I just don't like Twitter. Like, I don't know. Twitter, it's too easy to, like, have your content go out of the niche that it's supposed to, and that's when it can get dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very true. I was on Twitter during COVID, like, quite a bit.
Ooh.
Do I dare say what?
Oh, I need to know. You brought it up, so you're gonna talk about it.
I was on Minecraft YouTube Twitter.
Were you a Dream SMP person?
Don't even I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Beth is a Dream SMP stan. What does SMP even stand for?
Survival multiplayer. I just exposed that. You just got me. No.
I got you, gal.
So yeah, so I totally, and it was actually like kind of similar vibe to Tumblr back in the day, which
Tumblr back in the day was fine, but like Tumblr now, I feel like Tumblr kind of evolved into a little bit of a what the hell is happening? Why are you telling someone to over fan art? That was the big thing. Did you hear about that? There was
like recently?
No, it was I think like 2016. Someone drew Rose Quartz to be skinny and like she got bullied off the internet.
Oh.
That feels like Twitter. That is pure Twitter right there. Twitter is scary. Like there are some stan factions that you do not want to make mad on Twitter.
And I've heard TikTok too is really bad for artists. Have you ever posted your stuff on TikTok?
No, because the TikTok kids are ruthless. Like I follow a couple people like baby drag artists, and one of them got bullied off TikTok. One of them is getting more support, which is good. But like I feel like if you're not, I think TikTok kids are used to like the drag race standard of drag. So if you're not wearing a human hair, 180 density rhinestone bodysuit, they're kind of like, you're not doing drag. I don't vibe with that personally.
That feels very gatekeepy.
It is. I feel like because TikTok's so used to like everything being so open and available, they're kind of used to seeing like just the dancing, doing the splits kind of drag. And like there's a lot of different styles of drag that I feel like TikTok isn't used to. So like they see like pageant drag or like ballroom drag, that kind of stuff. I feel like they're not exactly used to that. And they are ruthless. Like if you don't have perfect makeup, they will tell you. And like I spend a lot of time face tuning my photos for that specific reason.
The ones you post on Instagram?
Yeah.
Do you ever get hate comments on Instagram or like criticisms?
No. I usually get, like I have friends who like will give me makeup tips. But like most of the time it's usually like people just commenting, yes, you look great. Your legs look great. Shout out to Ray. Ray always comments on my Instagram.
We love Ray.
We do.
Yeah, that's good though that Instagram is better for that. Obviously, you can get hate comments anywhere.
Yeah.
You've gotten them before though, right? Or not really?
Not super bad. Yeah, not really. Because I'm still kind of small. Like if I was bigger, I think definitely. Because like you end up in that wrong side of Instagram where all the like libs of TikTok or whatever that Instagram or Twitter page is. But like because I'm still such a smaller artist who has more of a local knowledge of people, most of the time it's pretty calm. But I think you kind of have to get used to like, oh, you're gonna get hate. You're a person wearing makeup who society deems as someone who shouldn't wear makeup. You just kind of get used to it.
Yeah. If your dreams of like becoming a TV star become real, that will obviously bring you like into the public eye, and
Yeah.
you'll have a lot more criticisms.
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to deal with that?
Well, you can't really know how you're going to react until you're in that situation. Because, like, being what they call, like, TV famous, you're kind of thrown into, especially with, like, Big Brother and something, you're thrown into the limelight, like, very quickly, and you don't know how the public receives you until you're out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that, you just kind of have to hold your head up high, stick to what you know, and, like, the people who will love you will be dedicated. The people you just don't have to pay attention to them. You just have to stick with the people you know are going to be like, you're great, I love you. You just kind of gotta ignore the haters.
Yeah.
Which is hard. Like, not everyone can exactly ignore the haters. But, like, I think trying to always just block them, delete their comments, report them to Instagram, like, to kind of get in that mindset.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good mindset to have. I think sometimes it's really tempting to get defensive and like engage with those kind of comments.
It's not worth the time to engage. Like, I've done that. Like, I've engaged with people who have negative views before, and it's just not worth the mental energy. It is just not worth it. Because you're talking to someone who won't ever understand. They won't try to understand. So you just gotta know that it's not worth it. It's not worth the mental turmoil to argue with someone over something so trivial.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if somebody wants to have a genuine conversation with me and has genuine questions, like that, obviously I'm open for. But if it's just gonna be an argument,
it's not worth that. It's not worth the turmoil you're gonna put yourself through mentally trying to appease someone who won't understand.
Mm-hmm. Do you find people ever approach you with like questions from a genuine spot?
Like, usually, like, if I'm in drag at a show and it's like someone's first time at a show, they'll like ask me, it's like, oh, like, what's the process? I've never had like any super uncomfortable questions. Like, I've never been asked how I tuck, which is really great because I don't like talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm not really here to talk about my genitals while I'm wearing uncomfortable shoes or like an uncomfortable dress. Like, you can Google it. There are tutorials on YouTube. You can watch the tutorials.
If you really need to know.
If you're really interested, there's Trinity the Tuck has a video. You can just watch hers.
Yeah, well, that's good that people are generally respectful about it.
Well, I think like if you're in like a situation where people are going to see it and they have questions for you, it's genuinely more accepting and easier to get into with some, like, talk about it with someone because they're here to see you and they have genuine questions. Like, if you're outside of that environment, that's when you get like the people who are like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to groom our children? And I'm like, I'm not trying to groom your children. You're good. I want to get out of these shoes or like, I want to get out of this outfit that's stabbing me in the back right now. I do not want to groom your child. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Do you have any like hot topics or opinions you want to share?
To people who are booking drag shows, we need to have more diversity in drag shows. There are so many shows that I just see that are just female presenting drag artists. Like, there are so many non-binary performers. There's so many drag kings. There's so many drag things. There's so many people of color performers that I feel like you see a lineup and you're like, there are 3 white passing people and like an indigenous person, which I am down. We also need to book more indigenous performers, especially like since we work and play on their land. Like, we need to make sure that they are booked, and we need to book more people of color. Like, if you have an all-white female presenting drag cast, I am like, I do not want to go to your show. Like, if you have only female presenting drag artists, I'm like, this is going to be a very boring show. Because, like, I feel like if you have people of different backgrounds, you get more unique perspectives of drag. Like, there's so many different aspects of drag that you're only going to book, like, the dancing split queens. That's boring to me. I don't want to watch 8 splits in a row. I want to watch someone doing the splits, someone doing a ballad, someone doing comedy. That's why, like, Tucked and Loaded, like, Anita always tries to make sure the show is diverse. and like with different styles, which I think is good, and I think we need to see more of that. Like UFV just had Jaylene Time,
Yes,
very like a trans woman, indigenous trans woman, legend. Like she's a legend in the Vancouver scene. I am surprised they booked her. Like I am still surprised that they booked her.
it
But,
was
like,
really exciting.
did
I did
oh,
go
you
to the
did
event.
go?
Yeah,
I
You should
wanted
see,
to.
I'm on
go.
the front page of Sus
Are
Instagram.
you?
I got a picture with her.
Oh my god, I'm very jealous. She's like a legend. We love her.
She was awesome. It was really fun too.
And she's like a professional. Like she knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to see her booked more. Bring her back. I want to go see her.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of the episode.
It was fun.
Thank you for coming on this podcast,
It was
Colin.
so much fun. Thank you for inviting me.
You are a legend. What is it?
A legend, an icon, the star.
The
Colin
legend,
Monster.
the icon, the star.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shout out your socials.
Oh yeah,
and
if you want to
everything.
follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just Colin All the Monsters. COLINALDA Monsters. I don't know how to spell monsters. You can follow me there. I try to post as often as I can, but like sometimes I'm just lazy and do not want to put makeup on.
Cool. Make sure you follow him. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Megan Trainor, singer of All About That Bass, and I just have to say that Colin Alda Monsters is literally mother. Like, she's so skinny and so iconic, I just had to write this song about her. So Colin, this is for you, baby.